So with this video, I want to kind of quickly do a quick example of explaining the symmetry. So with this one here, what we're basically trying to do is if we plug in, if we replace this y with a negative y and I simplify, I'm trying to see if I get back to this original function that they gave us up here. If I do and they match, then this function here is respective to the x-axis, meaning that it flips exactly like on the x. So a couple of examples of this. To be symmetric to the x-axis, this part here, this line here, this part above the x, if I flip it, it will look exactly like it is down here in the bottom. That's being symmetric to the x-axis. For the y-axis, symmetric to the y-axis, so this part over here, if I take just this half and flip it to this side, doesn't it will look exactly like it did here. This one for to the origin, we're gonna flip it twice. We're gonna flip it on the y to go down here, and then flip it on the flip it on the x to go down here, and then the y on this part. So that's how it looks like this here. So this is what we need to do as far as what it looks like as far as if we're given a function, where is it symmetric to? So let's do the math. I'll plug the negative in for the y. To get rid of this negative, remember I have to divide everything by -1. So divide this by -1, get positive. Divide this part, get negative. And divide this one, get negative. This one does not look like the original function. So we can say that no, this is not, this equation here is not respective to the x-axis. Let's try the origin. If I plug a negative in for y, a negative in for x, so the origin you have to do it 2 times. Plug a negative here and a negative here. Negative, negative, that drops down. So if I want to hear, if I square a negative, so x, negative x times a negative x, that gives you a positive. 2 negatives make a positive. Then I take this negative over, divide by -1, change the sign, change the sign, change the sign. See that this one also does not match what I have up here. So that's a no. However, if I just do the x, so with the y-axis, I'm just replacing the negative with this x here. So I'll put the negative in this place. I square it, I get a positive. I look at this original. This original looks exactly like what's given to me. So this is why it's a respective to the y-axis. Let's do an example. So you can actually just leave the function like it is for this particular one and do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to try for the x, the origin, and the y axis by just placing in the negatives for this one here for y, the negative for the x, and then for both for this one. So here we're going to put a negative in here and in here. So let me go back to the other one. Let me get my whiteboard. I'm going to try for the x-axis first. So here's my equation. 4y is equal to squared minus 6. So the x-axis, remember, we're going to put a negative in for this one. So 4 negative y is equal to 5x squared minus 6. If I multiply those two together, I'm going to get a negative 4y x squared minus 6. And I notice I can kind of stop right here because this graph that I did here does not match my original one because there's a negative sign here that's keeping it from matching this one. So this one is not going to be respected to the x-axis. Let's try the y-axis. Let's put my equation back. So 4y equals, this time the negative will be to my x now. So 5 squared minus 6. If you square an x, so that's negative x times negative x, that gives us a positive x squared. So 4y is equal to 5x squared minus 6. As we can see for this particular one, this one looks exactly like our original one. So I'm done. So for this one here, I'll pick B is symmetric to the y-axis. Now I didn't try the origin because since x didn't work when I did the x-axis before over here, since the x-axis didn't work, there's pretty much no point for me to try if it's symmetric to both the origin, so the x and the one. So I don't need to go to the origin and do what we did here. I don't need to go this part because I already know it didn't work that way. And it didn't work for the X. They're not going to work. So the Y was the only one that it worked for. I check it and I get it right. So again, we're placing the negatives for the X and Y to see which choices I'm going to do for each one.